Today on Retro Tech, we will be looking at the 2950Q Sony PVM CRT Pro video monitor. This video monitor has 600 TV lines, supports RGB, component, composite, S-video, and is an all-around great large screen to play retro video games on. Now let's go ahead and start taking a closer look at this monitor. So this is the 2950 PVM. It has one of the largest video screens you're going to see on a CRT Pro monitor at 27 inches. We're also looking at just a massive size as the thing weighs almost 120 pounds. This particular monitor was used in the medical facility and still has a lot of the original branding that the medical provider placed on it. So let's go ahead and take care of that right away. To start, I want to take off this old medical emblem and see if the Sony emblem underneath is there. Well, after opening it, I can see that the Sony emblem is supposed to be there. Unfortunately, it's missing. So for right now, I'm just going to place the original emblem back over that spot until I can find a replacement Sony emblem to put on the front of this PVM. This PVM was manufactured in 1995, and if we take a closer look down here at the input board area, we'll notice a plethora of inputs. First, we've got two lines that support both composite and S-video, as well as stereo audio in and out. And then we've got our RGB lines, which we can also change to component video. We've also got stereo audio out, as well as a little control input here for Sony S Control. That's just a system to sync together multiple Sony devices. If we look around the outside of this PVM, you can see the brick and industrial design that's very desirable for this size of a PVM. However, to get inside of it today, we're going to need to take a lot of screws out. All these screws are Phillips head screws, so they're easy to get out, but there are a lot of them. Just make sure you get them all out before you start pulling off your shell. Now that the shell is removed, it's time to take a first look inside the PVM and the chassis. As I look around here, I hope you can see just the amount of dust and dirt buildup inside this PVM. This is the C board here. It's a very large board for a neck board, so that's quite impressive. Oh yeah, look at the cobwebs. It looks like quite a few spiders might have been living in here at some time. This is a prime example of why you would want to open up any older CRT to see what's going on inside. I don't see any capacitors that are at issue, but it's really hard to look through all this cobweb and mess built up. I was able to locate a couple potentiometers on the main board, but unfortunately, those don't control geometry. Before I go any further, I really need to clean up inside here. I'm also going to remove this plate right here. Just comes right off. Now I've cleaned inside this monitor, and I've checked around some more, and I'm not seeing any potentiometers that are going to change geometry settings. I do see some for some other things like color controls all the way down here in the bottom on the inside, which I don't know how you could get to that. Again, the only other controls I see are the convergence and screen controls in the back of this neck board here and our focus control right here. But what there is an automatic tilt correction on this PVM. So the next step I'm going to do, I'm going to turn this thing on, and we're going to try to see if we can catch that either doing something automatically back here or see how it's working. Let's go turn our power on. And then here's a look at our button configuration. Most of the controls today will be done through this menu, the select up and down buttons, and enter. I've got the menu pulled up here. You'll notice what input we are on. It lists it there. And then you've got your settings. The ones with numbers or listings on them are ones you're allowed to adjust. If there's just a dash or line, then that is not an adjustment that you can make for the input that you're using. And then we've got our controls for our deflection. You'll notice we've just got horizontal and vertical controls. And then on our third setting, we can change this to 16:9 widescreen or our color temperature. And this is the last menu, and it's got the tilt correct. So today I want to take a special look at that tilt correct. First, let's do some calibrations. I want to show you how simple it is to calibrate this screen. The left and right center shift is pretty self-explanatory and works fine. So you want to try to get that in the center of the screen. And after that, we'll go through and try another setting. All right, now let's do the horizontal size configuration, and it's maxed out here, so I cannot overscan it all the way that I'd like to as I do in other monitors, but you can get it almost to the complete edge, and the same thing with the vertical side. And vertical center and everything else is pretty well self-explanatory and pretty much the same exact way that you'd calibrate any monitor if you want to move around your centerness of your screen. And now let's look at the tilt correct. Watch this. This is actually a tilt correction, so you don't have to do a yoke adjustment if your screen's tilted a little bit on this monitor. As long as it's within that range, you can actually use this tilt correction to correct your screen. Let's take a look behind the monitor while we do this to see if there's actually any change in this yoke setup while we do it. So I'm activating that button now, and I don't see anything mechanically moving back here. So let's just go back and look again. See, I'm changing the values on here, but if we look back at the same time, there's nothing actually changing. So this is actually being processed by the yoke system and the CPU somehow. Now let's adjust the focus on our PVM. To do that, we're going to use a Phillips head screwdriver, insert it in the back of the flyback right here. And as I spin this potentiometer, please notice on the front that the screen kind of goes in and out of focus. So let's clean that up. Next, let's use this other potentiometer here and spin it to show you a convergence test. If you see, I'll spin that and you can definitely see on screen how the color guns shift. Now that the screen is completely set, let's do some fun stuff. I've got RGB hooked up here with the Super Nintendo, and you're looking at Super Turrican. This PVM will blow you away. Just the overall size is breathtaking, along with the fact that it can process the high resolution picture quality we want with 600 TV lines. It makes the scan lines appear nice and thick. Ooh, and it's very distracting sometimes when you're trying to play a game. So anyway, great idea to get this monitor, especially if you can get one that looks this good. Man, this game is difficult. Let's try something else. Okay, so that's pretty much going to round up our video today. I just want to let you know that I will be continuing to research this monitor to see if I can find a way to access more geometry controls, because I'd really like to see what the capabilities are to change pincushion settings as well as other screen settings on this monitor. Please let me know what you think. If you have any questions about this PVM or other PVMs we've covered in the past, please leave a comment below. As always, I appreciate your feedback, as well as any like or share of this video. I'm Steve with Retro Tech. Have a wonderful day.